Hello everyone, today we're gonna learn Unit 2 and the topic of Unit 2 is what lives here. In this lesson today, we're gonna do the language practice. We have two objectives. Number 1, we're gonna review the 12 vocabulary about biomes. And objective 2, we're gonna review the grammar about comparative and superlative adjectives. First, let's review the vocabulary. I would like you to look at the pictures again and listen, repeat the words.
Biome.
Biome.
Please listen and repeat.
Desert. Camel. Dry. Grassland. Cheetah. Wet. Forest. Wolf. Plants.
And two more words.
Tundra. Polar bear.
And now, this is the time for you to take the quiz after you finish taking a look back at these 12 words about biomes. How to do this quiz? Number 1, you're gonna read the definition carefully. Number 2, you're gonna write the words on the notebook. And after that, you can take the points, see how many correct answers you got over 11. And for 5 students, you can make sentences with these words. This is an example with number 0. This is an area that has a lot of trees. Many kinds of plants and animals live here. It's wet. So you read the definition and take a look at the pictures. What words do you guess here? I believe that you're gonna guess is the forest, right? So write on the notebook. Number 0, forest. Now you're gonna do from number 1 to 11. Now this is number 1. It is a large habitat of many different kinds of animals and plants. What do you guess for number 1? Please write the words on the notebook. Number 2. This is the hottest biome. Not many plants can live here because it's too hot. Number 3. This animal lives in the desert. It's got humps on its back. Number 4. It is used to describe the weather or periods of time when no rain falls. Number 5. It means a large area of land covered with grass. 6. It lives in the grassland. It's got spots on its body. 7. It means to be covered in water or another liquid. This biome is cold and frozen. Not many plants can survive here. 9. It is white and big. It's got sharp claws and thick fur. It's usually found in the North Pole. Number 10. It is a living thing that grows in earth. Usually has leaves, roots, and flowers. First, it is a wild animal of the dog family. Can you guess? We've just finished the quiz with 11 words. Now it's the time for you to check the points. If you get 9 to 11 points, you are excellent. If you got 7 to 8 points, you are doing a good job. If you have 1 to 6 points, You should keep trying more. Now, let's read number 1 to 11. 1. Biomes. 2. Desert. 3. Camel. 4. Dry. 5. Grassland. 6. Desert. 7. Wet. 8. Tundra. 9. Polar bear. 10. Plants. And 11. Oof. Now, we just finished the objectives number 1. Review vocabulary about biomes. Let's move on to the objective number 2. Number 2, we review about the grammar. Can you see the adjective small? We have the comparative adjective is smaller and smallest is the superlative adjectives. Questions for you. Which biome do you want to go to and why? For me, I love to go to the tundra, the forest, and the desert. Let's talk more about them. Which biome is hotter? You see, the forest is hotter than the tundra. We compare with more and more biome. Okay, the question is, which biome is the hottest? The answer is, the desert is the hottest biome. Biome is more interesting. The answer is, the forest is more interesting than the tundra. Which biome is the most interesting? My answer is, the desert is the most interesting biome. Look at this table. For a comparative form of short adjective, we need er after the adjective. And for the long adjectives, we need more, like more interesting than. And for the superlative, we need the hottest, there and is. And for the long adjectives, superlative, we have the most, right? For example, the most interesting. I'd like you to check again with the two questions. Question 1. We use to compare two things. A. Comparative with and more, and B. Superlative with is and the most. What is your answers? Please write on the notebook. And the answers for this question is A. We compare two things, we use comparative. And now, question 2. We use to compare 3 or more things. A. Comparative and B. Superlative. What is your answers for this question? I believe that you're going to choose A or B. The answer is B. Superlative, to compare 3 or more things. Now, it's the time for you to do the practice. You're going to read the sentences. You can choose side A or side B. You have 8 minutes. After that, you can check the answers. For 5 students, you can write at least 2 more sentences using comparative and superlative adjectives on the notebook. Can you see side A or side B? The difference is, for side A, you can read and choose the correct answers. For example number 0, the tundra is colder or the coldest than the forest. And you see, to compare the tundra and the forest, two things solely, we need comparative, and you circle colder. And you do the same for number 1 to 5. And for side B, you're gonna read and fill the blanks with comparative or superlative adjectives. For example number 0, the tundra is cold than the forest. You see, to compare tundra and the forest, we need comparative, and the comparative form of cold is colder. So you write colder on the blanks. And you can do the same for number 1 to 5 inside B. Remember, you have 8 minutes, so please, after you finish, you can write at least 2 more sentences using comparative and superlative adjectives. Now, it's the time for you to do side A or side B and write the sentences on the notebook. Are you ready to check the words? Number 1, we compare the forest with the desert. So, we compare two things. We use comparative form of adjective, that is, weather with double T. Number 2, we compare the desert with the grassland, the two things. So we use comparative form of good, and it is the better, right? Number 3, we compare the wolf and the camel. So these are two things, but remember, dangerous is long adjective, so we use more dangerous. Number 4, we don't compare two things anymore, right? So we must use the superlative. The desert is the hottest place on earth. Number 5, the same. We don't compare two things, we compare more. So we use superlative form, and this is most interesting. We have, I think, cheetah is the most interesting animal. And now, let's check. If you have no mistakes, you are doing an excellent job. If you have 2 or more mistakes, you are doing a good job. If you have 3 or more mistakes, you should keep trying. We just finished objective 1 and 2. It's time for you to do the task on LMS. Please go to LMS Unit 2, Week 1, and the language practice with the part of self-study. You're gonna take the quiz. I would like to say thank you for paying attention on the lesson. It's time for me to say goodbye. Goodbye and see you again.